All right, friends, it is time. This is my no buy January update, month one of my no buy year. And I'll be honest, this month was not as easy as I thought it would be. This isn't a deep dive, but it will be a quick check in with my list, what I spent, what happened, and what I'm learning going into February. If you're new here, I'm Kay, a wife, mom to two, accountability coach, and photographer. And I am glad you're here. Let's dive in. So in case you're new here or you didn't watch my no buy video, which I will link, I am doing this in quarters because I don't know what future Kay is going to be like. I don't know where she's going or what she needs, but I did have a few simple rules for the quarter. Number one, no clothing. Number two, no books. Number three, no new gear. And number four, no house stuff. Everything else had to be run through a contentment filter. I had a few essential items or planned items, such as my nephew's birthday present and also getting my camera repaired. But aside from that, I really wanted to be intentional about if something I was getting was bringing me along on my path to contentment or if it was frivolous spending. So the hardest part of this month was not deprivation. It wasn't the no buy idea. It was actually how often I was tempted to spend. And I find that looking back, that's actually what was draining me, the time spent scrolling, even if I didn't purchase. So I had small everyday temptations that came up. Starbucks, getting dinner delivered, and also that scroll shopping on apps that I typically don't use. Literally on January 1st, I went to Starbucks when I was driving from my in-laws to my house back to my in-laws. I could have made coffee at my in-laws. It was New Year's Day. We had slept over their house. I just wasn't thinking, but it was frivolous because I could have made my own coffee at their house. Buying Chinese for dinner, takeout on the 11th, I marked as frivolous because I could have made myself dinner. The thing I'm wrestling with is I could have put that through my contentment filter because my husband gave me the full day at home without kids to have a low stress day where I did not have to think about any responsibilities and I could clean the house, do what I wanted, all the things. And I didn't really want to cook dinner, but I could have. So I did mark it as frivolous because I could have saved money by just making my own quick, easy dinner. I had a few justified purchases that are totally fine. And I let slip through that allowed filter of contentment or necessity. I had hand sanitizer I got for the kids to put in the diaper bag. As I mentioned on my initial video, I did buy a label maker on the 4th, which I did mark here as not allowed because my rules specifically said no house stuff. I have used it. It has been great, but I should have waited because I set that rule. Again, wasn't even thinking. Still ingrained habits. Need something, go buy it, instant gratification. Something completely necessary, but not planned for. I said no clothing, but on January 6th, my bra literally ripped off the strap and needed to go get a new one. I had one on the future list for potentially spring, had to get it in January. And then there was also my friend's grandfather passed and she's very close to him. And I sent her flowers. I see that as a necessity right up there with buying my nephew a birthday gift. And then the last thing that I'm calling justified purchases because it's on me, my fault. I did not include it in the budget because I totally forgot about them. Both of my Fitbit premium subscription and my Macro Factor yearly subscriptions renewed, but those are justified because I literally use them every single day. I use the Fitbit for my sleep, step tracking, exercise tracking. Macro Factor is where I record all of my macros when I'm counting those. So if I use them every day, they're justified. I just forgot that they were going to renew for the year. So now we get into the slippery ones because as I mentioned, those other things were more so allowed. They ran through my contentment filter. But the ease of adding something to a cart is where I really saw how ingrained my overconsumption habits still are, which I expected after all of my previous decluttering and work on overconsumption that it wouldn't be this hard, but this is where it got hard. I went on to Temu because My daughter has a jar with helper stars that we put in it, or when she does something kind or generous or helps us. And my son now needs one. We are trying to bribe him into staying in his bed all night. And I went back to get the same one that she has because that's the one that he wanted. But while I was there, you know how Timu works. If you've ever been on the app, it is dopamine hit after dopamine hit. It is spin this wheel and do this thing. And normally I can avoid that. But for some reason, I got pulled into adding more things to my cart and not just getting the helper star jar. There was a cute Valentine's Day dress for my daughter. There was an embroidery kit. There were little things that I just added along the way and ended up purchasing that I didn't need. I did the same thing on TikTok Shop. It's literally my second time ever buying anything on there. I saw one dress that everybody was talking about and I wanted to try. Why? I said no clothing, but I bought a dress when it's going to be for summer. We are in like 3 feet of snow over here. So I didn't need it. And in that app and being in that scroll space, it was so easy to add more to my cart than I needed. And the last thing was a fitness influencer, personal trainer that I'm currently in her 6-week fitness program. She recommended a black crop top t-shirt because she said it's the softest, stretchiest, nicest crop top she's ever had. And it was on sale. And guess what? The sale got me. Saving $5 was enough for me to break my rule because I have in the back of my mind that I would like a black crop top because I don't have one. But that is something I could reassess in the spring. Maybe it wouldn't have been on sale, but guess what? It probably would have been because it was on Amazon. So I broke my January no buy rule of buying clothing because of a sale. This was unnecessary. This was frivolous and I should have waited. And that was pretty much it for the month. So out of the whole month, I had unnecessary purchases on 5 days and 2 of those were these food items. So I had 3 days where I added something to cart and purchased. Objectively, that's not terrible. It could have been worse, but subjectively, it showed me how strong the pull is to purchase, to have instant gratification and that dopamine hit. It showed me that I still get stuck in the scroll of shopping. So really what surprised me wasn't that I spent a bunch because I truly didn't spend a ton, but it was how often I wanted to spend. I realized how tied my habits are to comfort, reward, quick relief, especially when I'm tired or I'm overwhelmed or overstimulated. This month showed me that my slowing down of consumption isn't just about willpower. It's about awareness. And I literally expected it to be so much more on my list when I recap because of how drained I felt and how many times I remembered shopping. But the truth is, I have a Temu cart full, a TikTok cart full, and an Amazon Save for Later and cart full that I never hit purchase on. So going into February, my goal isn't going to be perfection. It's only been 1 month through this. We're moving into month 2. Habits take a while to form, so I might slip up sometimes, but I see progress because of all the times I didn't hit purchase. So I am going to go into February being more aware, leaving more space between the urge and the action. It's perfectly fine for me to add things to my cart to buy for later and then not purchase them. I think it's always a good rule of thumb to do that. But now I'm giving myself an entire month to decide if I need it because looking back at those carts, there's so many things that I added just on a whim or because someone recommended it or because the scroll recommended it. And guess what? I'm not missing them. I don't need them. And I'm glad I didn't buy them. The 1 month isn't long enough for me to build this habit of never spending. So I know that February may feel hard, but now I'm paying more attention. So if you're doing a no buy or a low buy or just shopping with intention, you're not failing it if it's hard because hard doesn't mean we were wrong or we're doing it wrong. It means that we're learning. And I'm glad to see that in January, I'm learning how to stop, how to wait and not hit purchase. So I'll see you at the end of February or beginning of March for the next update. We'll see how it's been going. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.